paint is made with superior formulation to give superior durability, superior hiding, superior coverage. Flamingo paint, simply superior.
From today, win your share of over 3 million Ghana cedis worth of prizes whenever you buy a bottle of Guinness, Star, or Origin. Dial *1000# to submit the code under the crown, and you can win cash, free airtime, and drinks. So, look sharp. This advert is FDA approved. Drink responsibly, not for sale to persons under the age of 18 years. Not recommended for pregnant women.
Everybody knows Acrobato. And if you know Acrobato, it means you know M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic is my pillar. Let's hear what others are saying about M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. Who will be careful M-Punch one?
Chesena me ankasa me period no say problems wom ntina ma wo ho idea ma me papa chesena nya asem ketewa na mkwan point no mo hwe me mogya mu no mo hwe bibia na so mo medu me fae no ene ma won kra mienu foforo kwa na mkwan mu a eba head everything yourself
me ma me no adwodwo eda ho a wontumi nante ene ne ko end point o mama nura ene ne ho idea watimi asori anante.
That's end point for you of Acrobato. Hello hey ohwehwe what che okay a free bra wo di end point what dance am ko ye no me do so sema na enkoyie en paso na my emre nyina na magina sebema na me no be fie for there e ho na nyina jaresa. You heard everything. I have secret. M-Punch is my secret. M-Punch Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
You are a major stakeholder in nation building. Your voice matters. Start your day with us.
We simplify the conversations, break down the jargons and technicalities. We keep you well informed throughout the week. Start your day with us.
Knowledge is power. We put you in the know of the happenings in Ghana and the world over. The main reason why you need to start your day with us.
We give the leaders the mandate to govern our affairs. We have a responsibility to hold them to account. It begins here. Start your day with us. Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiampofo, William Asiedu,
and Noble Crosby Allen.
Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7. Your urban lifestyle radio.
Chairman of the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament, Kennedy Osei-Nyako, says any amount less than 5 cedis for the road toll will be fiercely resisted. But the minority is pushing for a broader consultation that would have the rate generally accepted by all.
After suspending the road toll for more than a year, and you are adding just 50 pesos to it, then why did we could have as well go ahead to maintain the 1 cedi and add, whilst we are collecting the 1 cedi, we could have made a proposal and add 50 pesos to it. But if you come and you said you have suspended it and you want to add, for me, as a road chair, I will not support anything less than 5 cedis. And I'm saying it based on the fact that the average road toll in the sub-region, even globally, is $1. What is $1? How much is $1 today?
Minority members in Parliament took on the President over his inability to mention the Sherman killings and abuse in a State of the Nation address. Debating the address, the NDC MPs criticized the President for failing to unify the country. In the address, but the NPP MP started the records of government.
Commander-in-Chief of our armed forces, the President, was duty-bound to say a word about the Sherman as Commander-in-Chief, because rights had been violated, including the murder of a soldier, Mr. President simply just didn't find space in the 1.5 hours delivery to at least console the family of the bereaved soldier.
President Kufuor has conferred national honors on close to 20,000 frontline health workers who distinguished themselves during the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic. The president said their efforts prevented what could be described as a major calamity on the country.
Our relative success in winning the fight against COVID-19 is a testament to the tireless work who dedicated themselves to the fight to keep Ghanaians safe.
Two pre-tertiary unions in education have criticized the education minister over his threat to close down non-performing schools. The Ghana National Association of Teachers and the Coalition of Concerned Teachers, CCT, have rather asked the education minister to provide adequate resources to the non-performing schools and facilitate the payment of the capitation grant and other subventions.
There's no power to close down schools. How can which you have power to close down schools? Even we have schools under trees, they are still managing. Teachers are there teaching. Teachers have dedicated themselves to go to villages where officers will not even go there to inspect those schools. But those schools are running. They go around to beg parents to allow their children to come to school. Those schools are even still there. He should go and close down those schools first.
Pension bondholders have expressed disappointment over failure by government to honor its promise to pay investors their mature coupons on bonds that were not included in the domestic debt exchange program. Convener of the Bondholders Forum, Dr. Eduana Nientri, says by close of March 13, no investor had received payment due them. But the Finance Ministry has said payment processes have been initiated and bondholders will be paid by Thursday.
Then why did we could have as well go ahead, maintain the 1 cedi and add, whilst we are collecting the 1 cedi, we could have made a proposal and add 50 pesos to it. But if you come and you said you have suspended it and you want to add, for me, as a road chair, I will not support anything less than 5 cedis. And I'm saying it based on the fact that the average road toll in the sub-region, even globally, is $1. What is $1?
Well, look, he's the chair of the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. Now, this whole politics about road tolls is just turning around to bite government and how things were done over the period. And in fact, proposals have been made. Some say the roads and highways minister should be charged for the road tolls that we've lost over the period that Parliament says that directive to suspend the road tolls was illegal. Okay? But this is the proposal they are making, or government has actually made, received the approval of the finance minister, okay, on some selected roads, and the Tema motorway being one of them. It was captured in the 2023 budget. So the light goods trucks, 2 axes, is moving from 1 cedi 50 pesos to 2 cedis. That's about 33 percentage point increase. Medium goods truck, 3 axes, from 2 cedis to 3 cedis. That's 50%. Heavy goods, see a 50% increase. Heavy goods truck, agricultural truck, all seeing between 40. In fact, the agricultural tractor is seeing a 100% increase. And when you look at the figures and the specifics involved, it may seem negligible, but if you do the quantum effect analysis, that's when you understand why there are divergent views and opinions on this about how this is going to impact on all the. But look at the agricultural tractor, that's with trailer as well. That's gone up also by a 100% increase. Motorbikes, seen a 400% increase from 10 pesos to 50 pesos. That's for motorbikes. Cars, that's saloon cars, we're paying 50 pesos now. That's 1 cedi, 100% increase pickups and 4x4s from 1 city to 1 city, 50 pesos. Light blues, and then you see it there, mummy wagon and heavy buses. That is the proposal now. Now, the concern is the engagement and how this was arrived at, essentially, so that when there is some level of engagement and understanding, when this is tabled before Parliament, you will not have entrenched positions, as we have seen over the period. And these entrenched positions have been as a result of lack of consultation. The major reason behind this, when you hear the MPP MPs and government made the argument, is because we are paying very negligible road tolls. So it's time to pay realistic road tolls on roads that are riddled with potholes, on roads that are not good. So then you have the road users also asking the fundamental question. If you're paying road tolls, what is the reflection of what the road tolls are being used for? Where's the evidence? Because if you are tolling the motorway, and the motorway is still a death trap, people are driving there at night right now. There are no street lights. Potholes that have exposed these iron rods and others that could actually cause harm. A number of accidents that have occurred on the motorway because of how bad the road is. We've seen this over the period. So it is the evidence that the taxpayer is asking for. But, well, if you look around the world, you can understand why they go on this path. This is it. That's according to the AfricaRoadsResearch.com. Ghana wrote the tolls as at the 3 years ago that the statistics or the data was put out at 1 cent per kilometer. India follows 3 cents per kilometer. China, 5 cents. Brazil, 7 cents. South Africa, 10 cents. USA, 13 cents per kilometer. Mexico, you see 17 cents, and then Japan, 22 cents. But you see, the differentiating factor here is that these countries have good roads, right? So if you're driving on them, you have a reflection of what the tolls are being used for. You would not be asked to pay tolls on roads that are not good. But if you look at how this is also impacting on the increase, the quantum increase on vehicle owners, okay? Since January, we've seen the VAT gone up by 2.5%. Spare parts dealers say because of that, they've seen a certain increase as well in the cost of doing business. The suspension of the benchmark values has been cited another reason why spare parts dealers have increased their prices. The CD performance against the dollar as well. In fact, sometime in December, the spare part dealers reduced the prices by some 10 to 20%. Between January and now, it has gone up again because of the CD-dollar relationship. So already, if you own a vehicle or a public transport operator, you're confronted with this as we speak. Then you take a look at this as well. Insurance went up effective January 1, 2023. The premiums, the regulator of the insurance sector, the National Insurance Commission, also increased insurance tariffs. Group A, vehicles registered before 2020, and Group B, vehicles registered from 2020 onwards. Here's what's happened to these two groups. First of all, saloon vehicles that are registered third party before 2020, previously you were paying 423. Now, that 2020 and beyond registration of saloon cars, that's 468. The previous tariff was 327. So from 327, you've seen vehicles that were registered 2020 and beyond are now paying 468. And saloon cars that were registered before 2020 are paying 423. That's the increase that we have seen over the period. So that's what's happening now. Okay, let's go on to the telephone. And Honorable Governor Kwame Buja is joining us on the telephone. He's the ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament and quite instructive on this conversation. But thank you so much. He's the Minority Chief Whip as well. Thank you so much, Governor Kwame Buja, for joining us on Ghana Tonight. First of all, now, what's your reaction to that position that, look, comparatively, our road tolls are low, and so the increase should be considered and welcome if we want to see good roads. In fact, that's the tangent that government has been on over the period.
Good evening to you, my brother, and good evening to your cherished viewers. For me, it's the dishonesty that bothers me. At the time of cancelling the road tolls, the finance minister said one of the reasons he's cancelled it is because vehicles are polluting the environment. He also said once VAT is passed, there will be no need to reintroduce the road tolls. Well, I'm not sure vehicles will stop polluting the environment currently. And the e-levy has also been passed. So what is the reason for this? It's simply because the reasons given for cancelling this toll at the beginning were all just propaganda. It wasn't based on any studies. It wasn't based on anything. I note that the letter is addressed to the roads minister. I'm not sure why the finance minister has taken it upon himself to pretend and propose what the charges there is to be imposed, because he appears to be saying that he's asking the roads ministry to consider the reintroduction, and that comes with maybe amendments of few of the laws and other things. But the issue that concerns the public, as you rightly said, has always been that the public has never been against payment of road toll. What they have consistently complained about is that they can't see the improvement on their roads at the same time that they've been paying the toll. So they want to see their money being used judiciously to improve the road conditions in our country. The finance minister has not addressed that. In fact, I have said time and again that the only way the minority will support any attempt to reintroduce road toll is for the government to first of all make a commitment to decap the road fund completely, because the road fund is and the account into which the road tolls are paid into. Why do I say this? If you check Appendix 3C or so of the 2023 budget, and indeed almost all the other budgets, you will notice that this year alone, the road fund is expected to accrue about 2.4 billion Ghana cedis. If you check, Appendix 3D, if you check Appendix 3C, which is the expenditure side, the government is expected to spend only about 1 billion cedis from the road fund. What it means is that whilst they tell Ghanaians that pay 2.4 billion cedis so that we improve your roads, when the monies are paid, the finance minister arrogates to himself the right to only spend 1 billion out of the 2.4 billion on road-related expenditure. He spends the rest on anything, maybe even on cathedral, builder of cathedral. And this one infuriates the public. So the only way the minority will support any attempt to reintroduce the road toll is when the road fund is totally decapped and all the accruals are used to pay for road-related expenditure, i.e. construction of roads and maintenance and other things. That will be the first one. We also don't want a situation where the finance minister controls the road fund too much. In other words, currently, whenever you pay your road toll, the finance minister decides when they make releases to the road fund. So contractors work, and as we speak, you probably are aware that we owe road contractors anything in the region of 12 billion Ghana cedi and above, which is certified work done. And yet he can't pay for it. So he's rushing. What he's done today is basically shown his inability to be sincere to Ghanaians and even apologize for the deception he attached to the cancellation of the road toll, and should have done that before coming up with it. Secondly, he said this when it's reintroduced, the payment will be on roads which are new roads which are constructed through PPP arrangement. As we speak, there's no road project in this country being constructed under PPP arrangement. So when he said they want to reintroduce it, which particular road are they talking about? Because we don't have any PPP roads under construction.
In
so
fact,
it's the deception and arrogance of this government that is very annoying.
Based on that particular point, the Roads and Highways Ministry issued what they termed a clarification of the Finance Minister's statement on the collection of road tolls, and I'm sure you've seen this. On that PPP bit, point 2 says, the ministry wishes to state for the avoidance of doubt that the Finance Minister, while speaking about the financing arrangement for the Accra-Tema motorway and extension project, stated that, quote, when completed, this concessional agreement is expected to be approved by the PPP committee, cabinet and parliament. The completed road will be tolled to recover the whole life cost of the completed infrastructure, as well as pay lenders and provide a return for equity investors. That's the Roads and Highways Ministry.
Totally meaningless blah, blah, blah from them, in the sense that there's no contract currently ongoing or any valid contract on the Accra-Tema motorway. What you know my running battle with them, with that so-called contract with Motor Angel, yes, which is not fit for purpose because it is an invalid contract. That contract is dead and gone long ago, before the beginning of this year. That contract is not fit for purpose, doesn't even exist in terms of validity. So as we speak, there's absolutely no contract on Accra-Tema motorway. So what exactly is the road ministry talking about? If you ever see any construction work going on the Accra-Tema motorway, it will have to be a new contract. So that is another deception. And instead of this government just being honest with the people of this country and say, look, we got it wrong. It was pure propaganda. It wasn't based on science or any studies. It was simply because we want to fool Ghanaians to support e-levy. Whilst now that they have been exposed, just apologize to Ghanaians and say, look, we got it wrong. Now we are coming back, but we want to come back in a more transparent way. The accruals should be used for road-related expenditure. They still are not capable of doing that, and they think that we are sleeping and we can't see what they are doing. Now, brother, there's no contract on Accra-Tema motorway. There's no PPP project going on. So what is all that meaningless write-up from the roads and ministry? Totally meaningless and annoying to say the least.
I see. Now, your chair on the Roads and Highways Committee is saying that anything less than 5 CDs, they will ensure that is actually what goes through, and they have their numbers behind them in Parliament. What's going to be the minority's position?
Well, our position is quite clear. We think that even determination of the quantum to be paid towards any classification of vehicles, we are not even there yet, because you see, it's like pouring water into a basket. You know very well that it's not the amount of money, the amount of water you pour into it that will determine whether the water stays or not, because it's a basket. What we needed to do is to determine that when we actually reactivate this, every penny that accrues to the fund will be used to pay for road-related expenditure. Until we get that guarantee, it is premature to be talking about how much we pay towards any particular class of vehicle. Yes, it's possible that maybe a particular class will pay more, or other classes may pay less. But that is almost after we have made the determination that this is a good idea to go on with. And maybe after the finance minister apologizes to Ghanaians for the insincerity and other things that he's exhibited so far with regard to the cancellation of the road toll. For me, the sad situation is that I am aware of Ghanaians who have invested, who have spent their time and money carrying out road works. And I know of even smaller contractors, we call them SMC, very elderly people who have provided services to the road ministry, cutting the roadside. I mean, clearing roadside so that our roads will be safer. For 3 years, some of them are owed just about 20,000, 15,000, 30,000 cities. We are unable to pay them. And if you were talking about the fact that 70 million, 72 million is all we're getting, it was not enough. Imagine what 72 million can do to this class of contractors under the road fund. But all these people are owed money, and then we are here talking about we should bring it back, and then it should be on PPP. Somebody should just tell the finance minister, stop the deception and get real. There's no PPP road project going on here. Has anybody seen any construction work on the motorway?
No.
There's no contract.
See.
There's no contract.
Governor Kwame Agbodza, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. Governor Kwame Agbodza is the Minority Chief Whip, is a Member of Parliament for the Adaklo constituency, also the ranking on the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. Well, this is what the chair of that same committee said about this road toll and why the majority in Parliament will push for nothing less than 5 cities or more. Take a look.
The chair of a committee for roads and transport. I have not had any discussion. There hasn't been any discussion, or we haven't been informed about the proposed rate for the reintroduction of the toll. I have always make a stance that if government want to do reintroduction of the toll, we have to just bite the bullet and fix a rate that will be commensurable or will be able to raise enough revenue to solve our road problems. Because I don't see the reason why, if a rate was 1 cedi and now you, after some years, you want to put it 1 cedi 50 pesos. To me, I think it is inadequate. So after suspending the road toll for more than a year, and you are adding just 50 pesos to it, then why we could have as well go ahead, maintain the 1 cedi and add, whilst we are collecting the 1 cedi, we could have made a proposal and add 50 pesos to it. But if you come and you said you have suspended it and you want to add, for me, as a road chair, I will not support anything less than 5 cedis. And I'm saying it based on the fact that the average road toll in the sub-region, even globally, is $1. What is $1? How much is $1 today? Okay? So if you're able to raise if it is 5 cedi, we are short of raising not less than 1 billion Ghana cedi. Do you know what 1 billion Ghana cedi can do? It can do so many things on our road.
And that's the chairman of that committee, Roads and Transport Committee. Nothing is said about the deplorable state in which our roads are at the moment, and then also the roads that were being tolled even before the suspension, the deplorable state it was in, and citizens, in fact, motorists were still being required to pay road tolls. So Cecil Gabra is road safety management expert, the transport consultant, and also engineer. Professor Charles Adams is the president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, also a transport specialist. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. The engineer is joining us from Monrovia, Liberia. Thank you so much for staying up to join us on Ghana Tonight. Let me start off with you, Mr. Gabra. So government is making a U-turn, as we're seeing now, to bring back road tolls with a proposed increase in the rates. Is this the way to go?
Well, in the first place, I think they had it wrong. And it's sad that we couldn't go ahead with tolls. Interesting enough, a day before it was announced that road tolls had been called off, or road tolls wouldn't be collected again, right? I was on a sister TV station and then commenting that every nation builds its road with road tolls. So I had a big surprise about that. However, if there's U-turn, it's good, because I've been asking myself, especially when I use the Tema motorway, that what if somebody crashes into the toll booth? That's the old toll booth. And it happened several times. Right. So it is good, it is back, because as a nation, it is tolls that are used to repair the roads. But again, are we going to see that accounts to say that it is really going to be used to repair the road? That's also one fact that I always ask myself. But it is good. And this time I feel it should be an electronic system, everywhere. And I just told a friend that, look, if you travel, we all see it. The system that is being used is the RFID technology, where you have your card close to the toll booth, and then you have the gate open for you to go. This, of course, will save Ghana a lot from theft, where you have people in the toll booths and then they do their own thing as usual. I mean, it's a fact. Sometimes I know they collect even what people have thrown on the streets and then they resell it. If you have the RFID system, this is going to be a very good one, because as soon as you get to the toll booth and then you show the card, the gate will open. But how are we going to do it? It is not a situation where we should be asking people to go and buy. What about DVLE? Right? It's a nice opportunity for the government to have the toll booth being organized by the toll cards, that is the RFID cards, being organized by the DVLE, and it should be linked up to your roadworthy certificate. Okay,
right.
If it is maybe 200 cedis a year, that depends on which toll booths you use. I mean, let's say that not every vehicle will go through the toll booths. So if it is 200 cedis a year, I'm just giving an example. I'm not saying that it should be 200 cedis a year, but for example, if it's 200 cedis a year, what happens, right? It's going to have the situation to balance itself, that if you use it, you don't use it, at the end of the year, when you're going to renew your roadworthy certificate, you pay 200 cedis, and then you'll be given an RFID card that
I see.
You can use at every toll booth. This, of course, like I said, is going to cut off all the issues where people have government monies in their pockets. I mean, it's really a fact. Road tolls build a nation, like I said, and we expect that with electronic toll booths everywhere, we'll have proper accounting system. And that also will save the situation where people or drivers will be waiting for their tickets to be given to them. That's really outmoded.
Professor Charles Adam,
really outmoded. So that is what I would like to say for now.
Great. And then that's acknowledged. But let me bring in Professor Charles Adam as well. You just heard Cecil Rabra make that point about the use of technology. I mean, how much of a differentiator will that be if this reintroduction of the road tolls has to be considered at all?
Certainly, yes. I mean, without any contradiction, I can report that research has shown that when road tolls are collected the way we collect them in Ghana manually, you lose about 50% of it. And without quoting anybody, I am aware that much of the money really does not arrive where it has to arrive. So they collect the money. By the time the money enters the fund, much of the money is already leaked out. So before we bring the tolls back, one, we have to look at the collection. Now the collection, we need to make an electronic tool. Maybe you have a card, you load it, and then you put it on a smart card, you put it there, it deducts, then you pass. Or people who are regular users can buy it in advance, and the money must electronically enter an account. Fortunately, we have digitized, and I don't see how a country like Ghana, who is talking about digitization, you know, the vice president is talking about digitization, and then you bring tools, and then we have to pay manually. But that would be a shame. So yes, we have to digitize it. Secondly, to bring it back, we have to do everything possible to reduce the amount of delay and queuing. How can you do that? When you have a road toll, all the toll booths should not necessarily line up at the same place. I think what we are doing in Ghana is an error. It doesn't happen in most jurisdictions around the world. So let's say you go to the toll booth, there are 10 gates in each direction. Typically, in most places, you will have a staggered toll booth, so that if you are from, let's say, Malam and you are going to Kaswa, you will, when you have to pay the toll, the gates can become, let's say if you have 10 in each direction,
right,
you can have 17 or 18 for those who are going to Kaswa to pay. Then those who pass where the 18 or 17 are, they only go through two lanes, but they don't pay. Then they will travel, let's say 100 or 200 meters from there, and then the gate will now become 18 again. So it means that instead of paying the toll in only a few places, you have multiple channels for paying, multiple areas where people can pay, multiple lanes where people can swipe their card, and then they pay easy go, they pay their money, they go and do their business. It reduces pollution, it reduces inconvenience, driver frustration for intercity drivers. This is a major contributor even to driver stress and accidents.
I see.
So yes, we should bring it back, but we should do it differently. We can't bring it and do it the same
way. But Mr. Sesoga, Brian, finally, but how do we balance this revenue measure? I mean, and then this technology you are talking about, and the tendency, for instance, for traffic to build up in some parts of town simply because people would want to avoid the tolled roads as has been proposed.
Well, nobody wants traffic in the first place because a toll booth is completely a waste of time. You will be driving at a speed of about maybe 80 kilometers per hour or 90 kilometers per hour on the motorway, and then there you go, you see a long queue. What are they waiting for? Tolls to be paid. Right, I mean, if we digitalize what we want to do, I should think that it's going to be a very step to the right direction, where every card in this country will go through a system where DVLA can give it out at the roadworthy stage where you have it for yourself. In that situation, you will not, go into any queue for you to waste your time, and then you will not run away from payment of the toll booth.
I see. Mr. Garba, thank you. But Professor Charles Adam, before I let you go, I mean, now we're seeing this whole politicized idea of scrapping the road tolls coming to bite government. I mean, and the lost revenue, some are calling that it has to be accounted for. Now, what should be the way forward on this?
Good evening to your listeners, and let me say that we need good roads. And in Ghana, our roads are in a very bad shape at the moment. Our road fund is distressed, and excessive borrowing has virtually destroyed the road fund. Now, in the road fund, you have a levy which is on your gasoline or your petrol. When you buy a portion, some amount goes into the road fund. And then you also have the tolls. These are probably the two main revenue streams for the road fund. Unfortunately, government decided to cancel the road tolls, which means that the second most, important revenue stream into the Ghana Road Fund had been cancelled. And that means you are losing close to 8 to 9% of the money that you will get in the road fund for road maintenance. So road tolls are very important. And for us to be able to find the money to maintain the roads, we need money. So canceling the road toll is something that I thought was a bad decision in the first place. I mean, I don't know how and why the government decided to cancel it, but I suspect that, if you take the Kaswa toll booth, for example, it was a nuisance. I mean, the amount of queuing and delay that you incur to pay, let's say 1 cedi, was so much so that the cost to the road user was excessive. You could queue there for about an hour or two only to pay one cedi. So the cost of delay, the cost of queuing, the cost of pollution, the cost of your fuel, and all the things were borne by the road user. And there was a lot of cry that this was a nuisance. So probably that also affected the government.
the situation as we have it. But thank you so much for this, and we'll see how the coming days will look like on this matter. But Mr. Sagabra, appreciate your time. Road safety management expert and transport consultant, also engineer, Reverend Professor Charles Adams, president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering and Transport. Thank you so much for your time on Ghana Tonight. Well, guess what? A robot that was set to make history for advising the first defendant in court with artificial intelligence, as AI, has now been accused of operating without a law degree. How about that? The AI-powered app Do Not Pay faces allegations that it is masquerading as a licensed practitioner in a class action case filed by U.S. law firm Edelson. The chatbot style tool is centered around making legal information and self-help accessible to support consumers fighting against large corporations. But Chicago-based law firm Edelson has claimed that the service is unlawful and the company itself has substandard legal documents. There you have it. So we'll see. Technology obviously has its own limitations, does it not? We'll see how things play out. Interesting indeed, and how things are going on around the world. But we see, what exactly is the National Honors and Awards? Okay, and let's go back into time, and just so you understand why many will raise also their divergent views about this. And despite the fact that over 19,000 frontline workers and other persons who played very important roles were honored today, guess what? This National Honors and Awards is a ceremony that honors Ghanaian people who have rendered distinguished services to Ghana in various fields and careers. Now, the maiden ceremony was held in 1960 when Ghana became a republic under the auspices of the country's first president, Kwame Nkrumah. It remained a low-key event until 2006, when John Agyekum Kufuor instituted 30th June every year as National Honors Day. So at least that's what we do know. And these are the kinds of awards that are given on that day. That's in the order of the highest to the lowest. Remember that rather controversial decision by the president then, John Agyekum Kufuor, to award himself the highest order of the Star and Eagle of Ghana. All right, and then you see the Order of the Star of Ghana, Order of the Volta, the Medal for Gallantry, and then the Grand Medal. What you see there. It was, as a matter of fact, that decision that got a number of people now talking about this. So these are the details of the Grand Order of the Star and Eagle of Ghana, which the former President Kufuor awarded to himself. So that's is an order created by him on the 23rd of June 2008. The award superseded the Order of the Star of Ghana as the highest national decoration. It is to be presented only to those who have obtained the office of President of the Republic of Ghana. So that's what you see there. Yes, indeed. So then you have the Grand Order of the Star and Eagles of Ghana. And in fact, before that creation of the former President John Agyekum Kufuor, this was actually the highest order of award. That's the Grand Order of the Star and Eagle of Ghana. It's presented only to those who have obtained the office of President, and then the Order of the Volta as well, an Order of Merit from the Republic of Ghana, instituted in 1960, awarded to the people for their outstanding service to the country. Well, today, people who were not happy, these are the individual bondholders, all of them. Now, there's another failed promise by the finance minister, not just the pension bondholders, but all the other individual bondholders groups. They expressed disappointment over the failure by government to honor the promise to pay their maturing coupons on the 13th of March. In fact, this comes after 4 different postponements. I'm going to put on the screen a statement from the individual bondholders. This is the Pension Bondholders Group as well, and we'll put that on the screen shortly. Strongly worded statement that they put out earlier, and that was also complemented by the other individual bondholder groups. So that's what you see there, indicating the delay in the payment of coupons and principals of government of Ghana and the old bonds. And then, right after this, you had the Finance Ministry also issuing a statement as well, responding to these concerns. This is it. They say that they were going to pay within 48 hours, that government had already commenced payment on outstanding bonds. So let's go on to Zoom now. Martin Pebo is a leader of one of the 3 individual bondholder groups. He's a private legal practitioner. Martin Pebo, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Tonight. First off, have you seen the statement from the Finance Ministry assuring that they're going to pay you the outstanding coupons that have matured in the next 48 hours and that payment processes have commenced?
I've seen it, but I'm not sure I can call it assuring, because there is a government that has failed us time after time after time after time. It's so nauseating that I don't know what to make of it. It's bad. It's really bad, Mr. Ocansey, because we are dealing with people's lives, so people's lives, livelihood, talk of rent, food, medical bills, etc. And yet, Mr. Furiata and the president have been deceiving us time after time.
Oh, I see. So for you, to the extent that there's been consistent failure on the part of the finance minister to honor his word, you're not putting any premium on this assurance?
Yes, until the money hits our accounts. So we hear there are ongoing processes. So for this, we'll just wait till all individual bondholders are paid. And it's not just for this 6th and the 13th payments they are promising, not those until everybody is paid. So that's till all the existing bonds have been honored. You know, sometimes they can start and say, oh, they'll pay. So, you know, 2-3 times they can pay, and then there will be more defaults. You see how the statement issued on 27th February, they said they will pay, they will resume latest by 13th. You see, yesterday was 13th, no show. And then today they are promising 48 hours and all that. So let's just wait till everybody is paid. But I always will add this comment. The most painful aspect of it is that now that we are suffering, the president and Oforiatta have become very rich through the fees and commission data bank made from the bonds. And that's very, very important in every analysis of this case. It's such a painful matter that we have become poorer. The inflation and other factors have wiped away the value of our investment. But the president of Oforiatta through data bank have become super, super, super rich. Filthily rich. It's a sad spectacle, very bad governance.
I see, but help me understand this. How many of these bonds have matured that have not been paid? I mean, the coupons have not been paid as yet.
February 1 was about 4.2 billion. Yes. Then there was the 13th, and then the last one was 7th March. Yeah, so these are billions of Ghana cedis involved. Of course, we must correct or make note that it's not all the not all the 4.2 billion, talking about even the first one that belongs to individual bondholders. Some of that money belongs to the banks, the insurance companies, the pension funds, etc. Yes. So at every maturity point, you have all these people, banks, insurance companies, pension funds, and individual bondholders being part. But the totality of the individual bondholders are holding is about 15.5 billion. But not all of it is maturing this year. No, not all of it. So there is 2023, 2024, 2025, 2026 onwards. Yeah.
I see. Anyway.
Etc.
Okay, but how many, in fact, of these bonds that you have outlined actually have some of your members invested in there? And tell me, how are they coping in the midst of all of this, this consistent failure to honor the payment of these maturing bonds?
Yeah, Mr. Ocansey, you can imagine. It's been a lot of frustrations, a lot of financial plans ruined, a lot of anxiety, a lot of days of going without medication, without rent, without food, businesses collapse. I mean, you name them, a very untold hardship. Yeah, it's been terrible, extremely terrible.
I see, but and then finally, well, before we go, the government is not giving full details as per the statement we put out earlier. But what are your expectations in the next 48 hours, regardless of the less detail we have of how the payment structure is going to be like?
Well, so in their statement, as they said, they are paying the 6th and the 13th. So those ones, yes, they should be able to pay. From day one, they should have been able to pay. But it's just that they didn't prioritize us. That's the main problem, Mr. Ocansey. They didn't prioritize individual bondholders who have existing bonds. No, we are not a priority in the minds of Mr. Furiata and the president. That's how come we've come this far, unfortunately. Otherwise, they would have paid long ago. Because, as you said, once you take care of recurrent expenditure, that's pay government workers, buy fuel, other things to run the ministries, the next thing is to pay individual bondholders. But the president and Mr. Furiata don't see it that way. So they rather use the money for other developmental projects. And that is what we said, no, Article 36 of our Constitution is against such a way of developing our country. No, that's wrong. Because it says that when you are developing Ghana, make sure that you provide adequate livelihood. So even the government has an obligation to take care of us. But we all understand that, hey, if we ask government to feed every hungry person before we undertake development projects, there won't be any money left. So somehow, silently, we all agree that, okay, government will take care of only the poorest of the poor. That's those under LEAP. But for the rest of us, government can go ahead and undertake its development projects. But this one, we too, it is livelihood. We've lent government money. So Article 36 Clause 1 requires that government pays us before undertaking development projects.
I see.
You see? Yeah.
Right on.
So that's a sad spectacle.
I appreciate it. We'll see the next 48 hours what will happen. Lawyer Martin Pebo, thank you. He's a leader of one of 3 individual bondholder groups, as well also a private legal practitioner. Thank you so much for your time on Ghana Tonight. Well, on behalf of the rest of the team, we appreciate your company. Join us same time tomorrow for more analysis. And I am clothed tonight by Primark's Clothing. I am Alfred Ocansey. Have a good night.